You have Morgan Stanley launching a Bitcoin ETF. You have Goldman Sachs launching a Bitcoin ETF. You have Charles Schwab saying 2 to 7% crypto. And then I'm boots on the ground, a room of 55-year-old financial advisors. They all own crypto. I think it tells you where this industry is going. I think Bitcoin could go up 10x by 2030. I think it's dramatically undervalued versus the scalable market it's going after.
Hello, welcome back to the Cointelegraph booth here at Bitcoin Vegas. My name's Kieran and I'm joined by Matt Hougan, the Bitwise Chief Investment Officer. Matt, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Look, Matt, we're going to get straight into it. How can traders make money in the current volatile market?
Well, I think there are two ways. So if you're a long-term investor, just be net long bullish, because I think we're going to end the year significantly higher than we are today. From a short-term perspective, I think what we said at the beginning of the year is still true, which is we're stuck in this channel between 60 and 80K. Until we break out of that, I would expect that to continue. But for most people, look, a year from now, we're going to be much higher. We have major institutions coming into the space, huge institutional flows. I'm pretty long-term bullish.
And yesterday you were at an institutional event yourself and you can believe how bullish everyone was.
That was the incredible thing. I was just at a normal advisor conference, right? Nothing related to crypto. There were about 170 financial advisors in the room. The start of my talk, I asked them how many of them personally held Bitcoin or crypto in their own portfolios. I thought it'd be like 20, maybe 30. It was 150 people, almost everyone. It shows you how much we've normalized crypto, right? You have Morgan Stanley launching a Bitcoin ETF. You have Goldman Sachs launching a Bitcoin ETF. You have Charles Schwab saying 2 to 7% crypto. And then I'm boots on the ground, a room of 55-year-old financial advisors. They all own crypto. I think it tells you where this industry is going. It made me extraordinarily bullish for the next few years to come.
Absolutely, and Bitwise itself, you guys have 10, 11 ETFs already in crypto and a bunch more on the way as well. I mean, outside of Bitcoin and Ether ETFs, what do you expect the best performing crypto ETFs to be this year?
Look, I'm really bullish on a number of the layer one blockchains focused on stablecoins and tokenization. So I think things like Solana are very well positioned. I think things like Avalanche are very well positioned. It's not an ETF format now, but I think most DeFi protocols are dramatically undervalued and will be re-rated this year once we get through the Aave mess and we start making some improvements on tokenomics. So I'm broadly bullish, but in ETF land, I would say Solana looks relatively cheap right now. I would say Avalanche looks relatively cheap right now.
I was talking to the Coinbase asset management president a little while ago and he said Bitcoin and Ether are like the obvious 1 and 2, and then Solana is like the maybe third position, but it's still a little bit of a mile away from those top two. I mean, where do you see Solana sitting right now? Are you on the same boat, third potential, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think the reality of the layer one space, the programmable layer one space, it's likely to be an oligopoly of a number of high-performant, high-quality chains, maybe 3, 4, 5. Ethereum is the clear leader. I'm very bullish on Ethereum. Solana is one of those competitors, right? You look at Solana, you look at Avalanche, you might look at Canton. Those are among the viable competitors. And I think relative to its market cap, it looks pretty cheap, right? Its market share is larger than its market cap. That's often a good comparison to make. Makes me bullish.
Yeah, let's talk about Solana more because I think crypto viewers love Solana price points and where it's going. So if it's cheap right now, what can we expect by the end of this year, given the current conditions at the moment?
Well, look, if you look at the relative performance of coins recently, you've seen Bitcoin and Ethereum outperforming in part because you have both institutional ETF flows from major platforms and you have corporate treasury buying. Solana hasn't benefited from the corporate treasury buying, and it's early to the institutional flows because those start with Bitcoin and ETH. But I suspect that they are coming. So where could it, it'll certainly be, not certainly, there are no guarantees. I think it'll get into the triple digits. I think it'll rally back. I think it'll be outperformant for the end of the year. Yeah.
Amazing. And Bitwise in December, I believe, filed for a number of other ETFs as well. Aave was one of them. Tron was another. I mean, at this point, are you kind of just spreading your bets across everything, or is there still a process where you're looking at each individual project, or what's the process there?
Yeah, look, we're absolutely pretty selective, right? We just launched a Chainlink ETF. I think that's an absolutely fascinating area of the market. We just launched an Avalanche ETF. I think that has one of the more legitimate shots, differentiated architecture on how to build a layer one. We file for a lot of ETFs to give ourselves optionality, but we launch ones where we think the protocol has a meaningful chance of real success in the world. Look, I think the funds that we have out there are pretty interesting in that regard, and there'll be some more to come for sure.
Absolutely. We're seeing, Canary Capital, I think, launched or filed, PEPE ETF recently. I mean, is Bitwise going to be launching a PEPE ETF anytime soon?
If only we could put pudgy penguins into an ETF, we'd be all the way there. Look, PEPE is not on our radar, but God bless the team at Canary for taking the shot.
Can you tell us though, I think a lot of people now look at ETFs as a form of legitimacy. Like if an institution is launching an ETF in that crypto, people look at it and go, well, it must be something. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Does it add this layer of security for your everyday investor when they're looking at what crypto asset to invest in?
Well, for sure, it doesn't guarantee that there will be a success. And I would say even of the ones we're filing, we're not guaranteeing that those will be a success. We're just saying that they're interesting projects with a meaningful shot of capturing real value in the future. It may go their way or it may not go their way. What an ETF does is it brings it into the regulated perimeter. There are a number of risk tests that it has to pass to get an ETF. So it's a positive stamp of approval, but you shouldn't look at it all as a guarantee, right? These things can go up, down, they're volatile. But at least at Bitwise, we're pretty careful about what we launch.
Now, in the crypto market, there's a lot of things to look forward to. Obviously, we've got the Clarity Act that many are hoping is going to be signed off in the next couple of months, and the Fed interest rates that people are looking at as well. I mean, what macro catalysts are you specifically looking at for upside in the crypto market over the next few months?
Yeah, look, specific to the Clarity Act, the most important thing is that we get past it. I actually think that's more important than whether it passes or it fails, is that we remove the uncertainty of it, we get past it and move on to the next phase of growth. The biggest catalyst in crypto right now is just the wave of institutional capital that is coming. That just takes the passage of time. But I'll be very happy when we get past the Clarity Act. I'll be very happy when Warsh is installed as the Fed chair. I'd be happy if the Iran conflict goes away. But even if none of those things happen quickly, I think the second half of the year is shaping up extraordinarily well. There's just too much institutional capital that wants to come into this market to keep it down. So look, I think we're going to get there regardless.
When we talk about institutional capital as well, I mean, I was talking to someone just over there a few hours ago saying how quickly it could just go from 75,000 to 700,000 like that, given the amount of capital that's flowing in. Is there a scenario where that can just happen, where Bitcoin can just run for the sky?
Where you get a melt up? I mean, there's always a scenario where that's possible. I don't think that's my probable outcome. I think this is a long, slow grind kind of bull market where we move up steadily. But it is the case that there's a relatively low amount of supply on exchange. So you have to wonder where the supply is coming from. And there is just strong capital. The thing about institutional capital is it's not quite like retail capital. It comes in slowly and steadily and builds over time. And that's why I think probably the most probable scenario is less volatility and a strong march up. But make no mistake, I think billions of dollars are coming in through ETFs on a monthly basis through the end of the year. I think it'll be really significant.
And is there a scenario as well where, say, the Clarity Act doesn't go through and then the sentiment changes, and just like we've seen in previous cycles where retail has gone away, is there a scenario where institutional capital goes away and they start pulling away from crypto?
It's not what we've seen. So I'll tell you the Bitwise experience. We had essentially no outflows in 2018. We had no outflows in 2022. Most of the ETF money that came in is still there, even though the market is off 50%. The reason institutional capital is diamond hands at this point is that if you're an institution, you're allocating to Bitcoin, you're still on the outlier. So you're not going to allocate if you're 51% confident. You're going to wait till you're 80 or 90% confident. Every piece of data suggests that it's some of the strongest holders of crypto that exist. So I don't think we're going to see sentiment turn on its head. Even if the Clarity Act passes, I think there'll be a wobble in the market. But the institutional bid is still coming. They know that crypto is volatile. They're orienting around adding to it. I think it's going to come almost regardless.
And we have spoken about altcoin season before. I mean, Bitcoin in a downtrend at the moment, slightly moving up again. What's your thoughts on when altcoin season is coming, and how does the next altcoin season look to you?
Yeah, there's no altcoin season ever again that includes all coins going up. I think those eras are over. There is idiosyncratic altcoins that will do exceptionally well. You've already seen that. Hyperliquid, which is a well-designed altcoin with good tokenomics, has been doing extraordinarily well. I think what you'll see in the next year or two are select assets that are focused on DeFi, high-quality layer ones, things playing into stablecoins and tokenization will do extraordinarily well. And then many other quote-unquote altcoins will make their slow march to zero, which is what they deserve. So not an altcoin season, but an altcoin differentiated period where some do very well and some do very poorly.
Awesome, and just to wrap it up, I'd like to ask you a fun question. I mean, if an everyday investor here had $10,000 and they wanted to turn that into $100,000 by 2030, what sort of crypto assets should they be looking at? Is it the DeFi sector? Is there specific crypto tokens you believe?
Look, I think Bitcoin could go up 10x by 2030. So I would start with Bitcoin. I think it's dramatically undervalued versus the scalable market it's going after. I think you could see Bitcoin north of $1 million in 5 years. So maybe start with Bitcoin. If you were looking for an asset that's like dramatically undervalued that could re-rate north but faces a lot of risk, I would look at some of the OG DeFi protocols. Even something like Aave, which is facing some really significant risk right now, but is an enormously important DeFi application. It has the same market cap as Papa John's Pizza. Is that right in the world? I'm not sure that's right in the world. So look, I think Aave could be dramatically undervalued. That doesn't mean it won't continue to face trouble and it's not at risk. High risk, high reward. But if you're looking for something that could 5x or 10x quickly, I think some of those OG DeFi apps fit that bill.
And numbers aside, why are you so bullish on Aave?
Oh, I just think it's phenomenal service. Have you used it? It's like magic, right? It's actually like a magical experience to use it. So look, it faces existential challenge. It has some issues with its tokenomics that it's working for. If it were perfect, it would be already valued at 10 or $15 billion. The thing that's interesting about it to me, it's a really important financial primitive that's valued at $1.5 billion. That's not much, right? So if it can fix the tokenomics, if it can get over this challenging period that it's in, if it can build more resilient system, I think you could re-rate that up pretty substantially.
Awesome, Matt, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.